Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Is it just me, or is the postseason screaming along? It just seems like everybody's just in a hurry to be to the postseason now. Let's hurry up and get, or they're sweeping every team that's winning, sweeping or coming close to sweeping, so they can test out the 5 or 6 game series. I mean, days off theory. What do you think?
I think you're right. And I just thought when you were saying everybody's in a hurry, it made me think of that Alabama song.
Oh, I'm in a hurry. Get things done.
Yeah,
rush until life's no fun.
That's right. All I really want to do is live and die. Even I'm in a hurry, and I don't know why.
That's right. Why? Especially for the die part.
I know. I don't know about
why am I in such a hurry to get there?
Yeah, and so why are the teams in such a hurry to get this done?
I don't know. By the way, you're listening to the latest edition of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. I guess we were in such a hurry to get to talking about baseball. I guess, though, it's not like it just randomly pops up. You know what podcast you selected to listen to, I think. And if not, well, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time you do choose us on your own, not randomly. Anyway, before we get going, if you're not sure where to find us to check out what we're posting, if we're posting anything on social media, you can find us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
All right, we're going to talk NLDS because it wasn't over when we finished last episode. We're not going to let you get away with just going, oh, the Dodgers got swept, and then moving on to something else like we did last week. I let you have a week to marinate in it, to get over it, or whatever you had to do. It was too fresh last time.
Too fresh of a wound. Thank you for not pouring salt in it.
All right. Well,
that's this week.
This week, right? Exactly. Exactly. Luckily, you're not a slug.
Right. Yeah.
And then we'll also talk about the American League Championship Series, which has started, as has the NLCS. We'll talk about both of those. Those will be a little bit later, maybe even a spin on the wheel, and the Gold Glove nominations are out, and kind of an end of an era.
Surprise.
So we'll talk about all that and more. But first, Atlanta or the Dodgers?
Let's go with Atlanta. I'm just not quite ready.
All right, time to put a wrap on the Atlanta Phillies series. They left Truist, whatever it is, Truist Field Park. We know that there's a lot of Truist whatever. And they headed up to Citizens Bank Ballpark in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, to finish everything up. Before we get going, we gotta share this. We gotta share this story because we didn't talk about it last time. We did talk about the situation that led to this, but we didn't really talk about it. So in game 2, we talked about how, due to a base running error, and I don't care what anybody says, all the people who've been trying to give Bryce Harper, a, like, hey, I would have done the same thing. I would have done that. Well, you don't know what you would have done. You're not Bryce Harper, but it was a base running error. He ends up getting thrown out. That leads to the Braves winning that game. Now, let's fast forward from that to after the game. The scene, let's set the scene here. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Atlanta's locker room. The players celebrating a bit because, hey, they just won a game in the postseason. That's out of the 2 games at that point, they're at least tied. They're looking around. Hey, everybody else is getting swept. This looks pretty good. We're good. Orlando Arcia, all-star shortstop Orlando Arcia, apparently didn't realize that the press was still in the locker room. You play the part of Orlando Arcia.
All right.
All right. And excited utterances.
Attaboy, Harper. Attaboy, Harper. Attaboy, Harper.
All right. On a constant loop.
Yes.
It
Attaboy,
never
Harper.
ends. It never ends. It'll just keep going. And then was surprised when it found its way out of the clubhouse.
Yes. But
So,
it was said in front of reporters.
right. So, and then people are kind of upset that the reporters took that out of the clubhouse. But what do reporters do?
Report on what's happening in the clubhouse.
Right. They take that. So now let's fast forward 2 days, because there was a travel day, to Philadelphia. Now, we've already talked about this game, that the Phillies did not, we just didn't talk about this part of it. But they get there, and the Phillies beat up on the Braves that first game in Philadelphia, 10-2, which included 2 home runs from
Bryce Harper. Attaboy, Harper. Attaboy, Harper.
Exactly. Attaboy. Because that's what the fans of Philadelphia were all saying, and his teammates. Attaboy, Harper. Attaboy. And then they all looked at Orlando Arcia and went, ha ha. Except for Bryce Harper, who gave him the stare down of death 2 times. Not just once. 2 times.
And when he crosses the plate, and this is a controversial thing, there are fans that don't like this. When he crosses the plate, he gives the stare to Arcia as he's rounding the bases. Then he gets to home plate and he does a slashing movement across his neck, motion. And there's some people who don't like that. They like that.
I think
too much.
It was just like, it's over.
Right. And I think that's more what it is than.
I don't think Bryce was going, you're in Philadelphia, watch yourself.
Right.
The city of brotherly love just means we get close enough to you that you think your brother's next to you before we kill you.
The whole thing is crazy because it really became controversial. There were other people weighing in. Kevin Gossman of the Blue Jays said that it was a mistake for those comments to be reported. They were said out loud in the locker room rather than in an interview.
Okay.
And others, of course, defended the situation, saying that, hey, it's fair game. If it's said in the locker room, reporters are there, it's fair game. The biggest backlash was from Alana Rizzo, who used to work for Sportsnet LA, was the on-field reporter for the Dodgers, now is on MLB Network, High Heat. And she got upset with the reporter for reporting it and had to publicly and then privately apologize, because I'm like, you're a reporter. And if you heard that in the locker room, you would have reported that. Don't act like you were just like, oh, yeah, I didn't hear that. Because I could see her on the field as the on-field reporter when Bryce Harper got up, hits a home run, stares at Arcia. Oh, let's go down to Alana Rizzo on the field. She's got the backstory. She's going to report it.
Of course she is.
So why get all bent out of shape?
Because she's on High Heat, and if she doesn't get out of shape, then Christopher Russo, who's always out of shape,
Right.
or bent out of shape,
Yeah.
is she's gotta match him on there. I
Right.
guess. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't even know that all of that was going on. I knew about what Arcia said, but I was like, okay, so what? And they made T-shirts of it. The Phillies players were wearing them, at least in the locker room, maybe during warm-ups. Ha ha. Way to go, Harper. And T-shirts and
The players have, all the players. It's amazing to me how fast T-shirts are made. Do each team, do they have like a printer and they're
probably
they
I'm
have
thinking.
to. So it's super fast.
Super fast. So so anyway, so that turned into it, and really that was a one moment thing, and he really did. He was thanking him. Hey, if you didn't do that, we may have lost that game, and maybe we'd be getting swept that night. It'd be over for him. So haha, thanks Harper. He was sincere.
Yeah, and Bryce Harper said, it's just a game. It's fun. Everybody played a really good game. That's what it's all about. And we all know Bryce Harper. He not only is he a good ball player, he's also has a flair for the dramatic. And you use that for your advantage.
And I think that was fun when he went by, because it wasn't like Arcia said something just really really bad about him or something like that.
Right.
He just, way to go. And, there was nothing with that. Hey, you helped our team. He's saying thank you because guess what? Without your mistake, we can't seem to figure out how to win a postseason game. So thank you. The Braves met with the same, the same thing as the Dodgers. Their pitching was better.
Yeah.
But they couldn't hit. Here's this prolific lineup that had a great offensive year across the board.
Right. Matt Olson had 52 home runs. 53. Okay. So I was jipping him one. 53. I don't think he hit a home run in the postseason.
Not that I recall. No home runs there. You figure Ronald Acuna Jr. He only hit 143. Here's a guy who is definitely getting the MVP. I don't care what anybody says. Once he hit 70 steals and 40 home runs, those were the magic numbers. It was like last year with 62 and Aaron Judge. Same thing. That was just it. That's the magic number. You're now the MVP. It's an unwritten rule. Once you hit some kind of number like that, you're just automatically.
Yeah.
But he didn't do anything. I think who was it? Austin Riley. Is he the only one that was actually able to hit throughout the series?
Yeah, he hit like 350, something like that. So, I mean, and he had 2 home runs. He had 3 RBIs. He's the team leader for the postseason.
Yeah, it was not. They didn't get a lot of hits. Yeah, they didn't get a lot of offense from the guys who had been giving them. Marcell Ozuna, who had done well throughout the season, hit 154. Matt Olson was at 250. Ozzie Albies hit 267 over that stretch. Sean Murphy was the only other one that had a pretty respectable 286. Otherwise, they just didn't have. They didn't have anything. Michael Harris II made one great play.
That was it.
Did nothing else.
Did nothing else. Yeah, and Orlando Arcia hit 154. So attaboy, Orlando.
Attaboy. That's it. Way to go. Pitching wise, they did a little bit better. Spencer Strider had a couple of starts in this one and, walks off with a 2.84 ERA. in the last game, gave up 3 home runs, 2 to Nick Castellanos, who hit 2 the night before.
Yeah, and then becomes the only player in postseason history to have 2 multi-homer nights. He is getting the power of Scooby-Doo into his aura, I guess.
Into his aura, huh?
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, he's got that. He's channeling Scooby
Yeah,
and Shaggy
He is. And Scrappy.
and Scrappy.
Scrappy-Doo.
And then Trey Turner. Where did he come from?
I don't know. I mean, this is the worst part, I think, for being a Dodger fan. Yet Trey Turner, you're watching him play in the postseason with a much better team. And at this point, in the postseason. And you've got Corey Seager playing for the Rangers.
And they could be on a collision course
They could be.
for the World Series, depending on what's going on. Because the Braves go back home, and Ronald Acuna Jr. has nothing to say.
Nothing.
Nope.
No comment. Spencer Strider, really, his comments they had asked him about the format, and he basically said, we can't blame the format. You need to have focus. You need to, who you are, what you need to do. So you need to have focus. You need to get yourself ready. And that's just the way it is. But I'm like, what did you do to get yourself ready? So you would win the postseason, the 2 games that you pitched.
And he didn't.
And he didn't because he was 0-2.
Yeah, he didn't get either of those wins after a pretty decent season, but he had fallen off in the second half of the season. And not a surprise.
One thing with the Braves is and I think you mentioned this last week, is how they clinched their division early. And once they clinched, they fell off. I mean, it was the Marlins swept them, and they didn't just sweep. I mean, I think one game was double-digit runs, and they had like 2.
Yeah, they kind of just weren't playing at all, and I think you had to continue to play well. You don't have to, you can give days off to people. You don't have to be intense, but I think maybe you do. You have to maintain that.
Yeah, I think you really do have to maintain that momentum that got you to the top of your division. You have to continue to play like that, because then you lose your edge, because then you have a bye. And whether you say, oh, well, it's good that they had a bye because their arms were rested, or, somebody kind of tweaked their knee, and so they were able to rest it, be on the roster. There's lots of different things, but it obviously is not working well.
Yeah. So now the Braves have the same question that every other team that's not in the playoffs have. Where do we go from here? How do we fix the things that we saw were problems? The pitching became an issue. You had injuries or guys coming back. Max Fried had come off of injuries. Charlie Morton. What about those guys? What about other players that you got Strider, but how did things change so that he's more effective next time? So they've got a lot of questions to answer as well. And when we talk about questions that need to be answered, the Dodgers, I think, are one of the teams that come to mind, like foremost, when it comes to playoff teams, to division winners. Because obviously, we know the Angels will be a team that has a lot of questions in the offseason because of Shohei. And the changes, looking for a manager. What are they going to be looking for? We know about all that. We're going to talk about all that stuff with them after the playoffs, after the World Series, when we put a bow on the season. We'll talk about those things, and we'll do the same for the Dodgers, where we break down what we think needs to happen with them, what they need to be looking for in our opinions, obviously, and the things that we've heard. So, and right now there's a lot of information being thrown out there. Andrew Friedman talking about that it was an organizational failure, that they didn't get too far beyond. So on all levels, he even admitted, and it's hard to get him to admit he did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But he even admitted, hey, I played a role in this too by not doing certain things. I should have gotten some pitching. Dave Roberts, I should have got better prepared them. The players, unlike Ronald Acuna Jr., Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman, both stepped up to say, but what did they really say?
They really didn't say a lot other than, I think they were embarrassed. I mean, you had to be, because
mostly they said, I don't know.
No, they just said we didn't play like we should have played, and they basically just it's just empty words. And they did take the blame, like, hey, it's our fault. Yeah, of course. But they went, 1 for 21? 1 for 21.
Or 21.
The two of them. And so how, I don't understand how you can just fail that spectacularly in the game that they both play, have been playing. They're all-stars, they're MVPs, they're Gold Gloves, they're silver. Have they won silver? Yes, Silver Sluggers. They're the total package, right? When you think of, how many times have you watched a game and the announcers say, especially the national feeds, there isn't a player that I wouldn't want. This is Freddie Freeman is the player I'd want in this exact situation right now, or Mookie Betts, just insert a name. It's always them. And then they just, the word's embarrassing. It's embarrassment. They didn't even win a game.
No. And they couldn't, it's not as if they didn't know these guys, and they didn't read the scouting reports very well. The thing that happened is I think that is why, is that they did know them. They were too familiar with them.
They were.
And one of the things that I've heard since they lost was things about both Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. They could never beat the Dodgers.
Right.
And
I think both of them hadn't won at Dodger Stadium.
And they were talking about that during the season, they saw things in their preps for that about where they were releasing the ball, that it wasn't necessarily that they were tipping pitches, but kind of. They were giving away, in some cases giving away, in other cases, it was just where they were throwing the ball from. So their release point was in a spot that made it easier for the Dodger players to pick it up. They adjusted that, and the Dodger hitters never did adjust. I don't know if the Diamondbacks can beat the Phillies. I mean, I'm sure they can. I don't know if they will.
Right.
But one thing that Torey Lovullo did was, all this season, was to look at things from the past and work on making them better. This is a team that is great defensively. And they've improved year after year because he's actually using analytical data to come up with ways to coach better things, like taking ground balls. What do the numbers say? Where do the balls go most of the time? What kind of range do you need? How fast are the majority of balls coming off of the bat? And then working through that, using a pitching machine or a ball machine to get the balls out there to certain thing, and doing that. We go back and we've talked about Joe Madden's book throughout the year. That's kind of what Joe has said. I'm not against. Everybody all of a sudden thought Joe was against analytics. Joe's kind of like the father of analytics when it comes to stuff that he was doing without a computer. He was out every day compiling these numbers on his own and using them. But as he said, there's a time for the numbers, and that's before the game. It's a time for those numbers in when you're training, when you're in practice. When you're talking about things, but during the game, it's a whole different place. Don't start dropping a ton of numbers on me because it doesn't help me. Unless you're saying, by the way, like Kirk Gibson, in the World Series being told, hey, and this was before the game too. This is a certain pitch he likes to throw at this time. Still before the game. Right. And he remembered that. This is information you need going in as part of your game planning. Once you're in the game, you have to play the game as it comes. And the Dodgers never picked up on any changes.
They didn't. Well, and I think it was Max Muncy who said that they were not disciplined at the plate. So I think what you were saying shows that about Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, because over the season, I think they were just expecting, oh, it's going to be this or that. They had changed things. They had worked on improving, not doing that, like I said, not necessarily tipping pitches, but being able to see the release. They changed it up, and the Dodgers didn't follow suit. They weren't disciplined. And I think Max Muncy was the last one, from what I understand, out of the clubhouse that after that loss. Because I think, one, he didn't have a great season, and he got better, but he didn't have that Max Muncy season that we're so used to with, home run, like, oh, he's going to hit it. He couldn't even do that in the postseason in these 3 games.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of that.
And then they got so out of it that when they finally did get to a pitcher who was throwing over the middle of the plate half the time, with the rookie that that the D-backs threw out there in that last game, Brandon Pfaadt, I guess that's how you fought. They couldn't pick up. I mean, Freddie missed his pitch more than once.
Yep.
That could have changed the whole feel of a game. And he couldn't do that. Lance Lynn, honestly, Lance Lynn was Lance Lynn. He's given up multi-homers in a game before. You hoped it wouldn't happen. And they didn't really have any other choices.
Right. And I've heard the arguments on various Dodger, accounts and things where it's like, why would they start Lance Lynn? They knew the Lance Lynn gave up home runs. Why didn't they start Ryan Pepio? But if they win game 3, who starts game 4? Ryan Pepio was going to start game 4.
Well, there was that talk, or there's even talk about running Clayton back out there.
Oh, right. No game. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah. So Clayton was going to start game 4. So actually it would have been 5, like game 5. So I don't know. I mean, you don't know, because sure, Ryan Pepio could have had an awesome game. He could have gone out there and just shut him down. We have no idea, but we had to go with what we had, right? The Dodgers had to go with Lance Lynn. And
the Dodgers, they're a great regular season team. They are not, and year after year, it's proven they're not a postseason team.
They're not built for the postseason at all.
Right. The starters only went 4 2/3 innings over the 3 games. And the bulk of that was actually Lance Lynn, who he went 2 2/3.
Yeah, he went the longest. And when the game started, he looked good. And then whether he was doing something in his delivery, or there was something maybe that the D-backs picked up on, I don't know. Or he just was throwing over the, right here, hit this. And they did 4 times over the fence. You just don't know. And I think, if it had been, obviously, if it had been a regular season game, it's not that big of a deal. But this is the 3rd game of a 5-game series, and you are down 2 games. You haven't won anything. You didn't win at home. And now that the Diamondbacks are in the postseason, I think the calls of, oh, yeah, was it Chase Field is just, LA East or, the stadium to the east, and it's not anymore.
No, not after that.
No.
Yeah, the pitching was atrocious. The starters over the 4 2/3 innings gave up 13 runs. We talked about Clayton Kershaw. He had a third of an inning. His ERA was 162. Bobby Miller threw 1 inning, and his was 16.2.
Right.
And Lance Lynn was, because he got 2 2/3, was 13.5. None of them could do anything. And luckily, overall, the bullpen in all the games were pretty decent to kind of stop everything from there. If the offense had gotten going, I think the Dodgers move on easily, even with the bad pitching, because the bullpen was great.
Yeah, the bullpen was great. I think Brewster Gratterall deserves MVP for the season for the Dodgers. He was excellent this season. And that was kind of like, well, hey, the bullpen, they kept up their end of the bargain going into the postseason. They were ready. Nobody else was. And it just...
Maybe that is something to put into that theory about 5 days off isn't a big deal to a relief pitcher.
Right.
Because they'll go sometimes for a few days and not pitch, other than just, warm-ups or a bullpen session or something. So they're more used to that than the everyday players are.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it makes sense that they would be. I don't understand why, with the players that the Dodgers have, what happens in the postseason where they are so lackluster. We saw it last season when they played the Padres. And I think a good comparison is watching Trey Turner play in the postseason with the Dodgers and now playing in the postseason with the Phillies. It would be interesting to ask him what's different in the clubhouse. What's different with this team versus the team that you were on with Freddie and Mookie and, all these guys, Will Smith, and what's different? Why?
That's a good question. Because
I've always felt like when they played the Padres, there was no, even in the, there's no sense of urgency when they played the Padres or the Diamondbacks. And I think that is where that familiarity comes from. The Padres, of course, they were in the postseason. Of course, their goal is to get the World Series. They didn't get to the World Series, but they had done something. They had beat the Dodgers in the postseason. And that's like, oh, that's good. That's good enough for us, right? Even if we don't get to the World Series, we still beat the Dodgers in the postseason. The Diamondbacks. Right. The same thing. We beat LA. Every stadium with the exception of, I really haven't heard this with the Rockies beat LA, that like really getting, but there were flags with the Arizona Diamond, like the logo that said beat LA. That's a Giants thing, but it has filtered down to San Diego, now to Arizona. Probably will be in Colorado. And that is the goal. And for the Dodgers, though, it doesn't matter because they played the Nationals and they played better, but they still didn't win. So, but I think there is you get familiar with the teams and you're familiar with the Diamondbacks. You were familiar with the Padres, and too many people, and probably the Dodgers themselves, thought, we beat them during the season. We can do it. But they didn't.
Right.
and you get too complacent. And the Dodgers are complacent during the postseason. They have no energy. The dugout doesn't even seem to be like like a normal regular season game. There's I don't know. It's a weird dynamic how it shifts. And we jokingly said, "Oh, maybe it's October," but maybe it really is the month of October.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Yeah, I that's the question is why, what is it that stops them from playing? I don't know. Even they beat the Giants who took the National League West a couple seasons ago. They beat them, and then in the next game they couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still don't understand why.
Well, and one of the things that's interesting is Andrew Friedman recently had, I think just this week, had a press conference with Brandon Gomes, who is the general manager. And as you mentioned, it's very hard. Very rarely are you going to hear Andrew Friedman say, I didn't do this but he said it's an organizational failure. The last two postseasons, and I would even say beyond, but let's focus on this postseason and the last postseason. It's an organizational failure, but nothing's going to change in the organization. Obviously, Andrew Friedman's still going to be there. Brandon Gomes is still going to be there. Dave Roberts will be the manager next season. I don't know if, firing Dave Roberts is the answer, or a shakeup in the front office like I talked about last week. I don't know the answer, but I think it's interesting that someone says it's an organizational failure, but how are you fixing the organization? Getting starting pitching, which the Dodgers needed for the whole season, is not going to fix your organization, because you'll be right back in the postseason and we can see the same result, just different bases.
Right. We'll talk more about that and more about that the press conference and that stuff when we finish up the season. Before we get to the league championship series, talk about the Phillies versus the Diamondbacks and the Asterix versus the Rangers. Let's talk about some other stuff. I know you said you might have some wheel runners. We'll talk about that in a second. In the meantime, though, on Wednesday, the gold, or as you call them, the Golden Glove finalist for the Rawlings Golden Glove or Gold Glove. See, now I'm saying it too.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, the Rawlings Gold Glove Award finalists, all on there, and the awards themselves will be given out on ESPN on Sunday, November 5th, and that'll be at 7:30 Eastern. There,
which will be nice because whoever wins gets a Gold Glove, and they got an extra hour of sleep.
Nice, that's right. They got to fall back and then get an award, maybe. And guess what? Everybody's a winner because you got an extra hour of sleep.
That's right. Yes, unless you live in Arizona.
Yeah, and then it's just Tuesday. It's all the same. It doesn't. It's not. It's just any other day. All right. So to determine why can't I say that? To determine the winners at the 9 standard positions, all 30 major league managers and up to 6 coaches from each team vote from a pool of players in their league, excluding players from their own team. These votes comprise of 75% of selection total, with the Sabre defensive index counting for the other 25%. For the utility position, Rawlings collaborated with Sabre to create a specialized defensive formula to separate from the traditional selection process. So let's go through the American League finalists. At first base, guy who's in the playoffs, Nathaniel Lowe. Nathaniel, don't call me Nate Lowe. Ryan Mountcastle from the Orioles. Oh, Lowe from, of course, the Rangers. And Anthony Rizzo, even with a concussion, he still ends up as a finalist for a Golden Glove or just a Gold Glove for that matter. Rizzo's got 4 of them so far. And then Lowe has never won one, nor has Mountcastle.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too that Rizzo, he played. When did he get that concussion back? Like May?
Yeah,
and
it was early on.
Played
for like
through
2 or 3 more months.
July sometime, and then they were like, "Oh, we got to put you on the IL," and then he ended up not coming back. But he still led the American League first baseman with +6 outs above average.
Right.
So
that just shows
and
that
he
was on top of it, even with playing through a concussion. He couldn't hit, but he could still play defense. Second base, a guy who definitely took advantage of the time that he was given when Tiny was out on the injured list. Mauricio Dubon from Houston. Is joined by Andres Jimenez from the Guardians and Marcus Semien from the Rangers. All there. Jimenez is the reigning AL Gold Glove winner at second base. And you talk about the +6 outs above average. His was +18.
Yeah.
Of course, second basemen get more balls than first basemen do. So
that's true.
That's it. Semien has won before at second base, and Dubon actually is looking for his first one. Third base, Alex Bregman, Matt Chapman, and Jose Ramirez. All guys who have been finalists before. Matt Chapman is there. He's a 3-time winner, and he's won the Platinum Glove twice. Bregman and Ramirez have neither one of them have ever won a Gold Glove because Chapman's winning them all.
Yeah, they never get a chance.
We move to shortstop, where we see, here's something that I'm noticing too. A lot of these Rangers are popping up here, and that tells you a lot about how defense plays in how important defense is. I think we tend to forget about it sometimes. But Corey Seager from the Rangers, Carlos Correa from the Twins, and rookie Anthony Volpe from the Yankees. He didn't hit well this season, but he definitely played some great defense there at shortstop for them.
And this would be if Corey Seager won a Gold Glove this year, it'd be his first one.
Which is interesting because he's been solid shortstop even when he was with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move to the outfield and left field. Austin Hayes from the Orioles, Stephen Kwan from the Guardians, and Dalton Varsho from the Blue Jays. All finalists. Kwan won it as a rookie last year, but Varsho is somebody that I've always kind of been high on. I don't think he's like Hall of Famer kind of thing, but he's definitely a solid player. And he was, in fact, Varsho last year was a finalist in the National League when he was with the D-backs.
In right field.
Right. Completely opposite field. He'd be a first-timer along with Hayes if he were to win it. Move to center field, Kevin Kiermaier from the Blue Jays, Luis Robert Jr. from the White Sox, and Julio Rodriguez from Seattle. All and does the missing ball trick, where you act like you didn't catch it, but then you really did, does that give you more points
It
towards a Gold
might,
Glove?
especially if it's a tie. Like
Oh, that's
there's
like the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Got it. Kiermaier's got 3 Gold Gloves. Roberts got 1, and Julio Rodriguez, this would be his first. And then to finish up the outfield, once again, Texas players playing for the American League Championship. 2 of them in there, Adalis Garcia and Kyle Tucker, 2 right fielders that are both play great defense. And then Doogie, Alex Verdugo from the Red Sox. He's also a finalist there. Tucker won the Gold Glove last year, but really, if you watched any of the 3 of them play, it's anybody's. It's up for grabs.
Although Verdugo did lead AL right fielders with 9 defensive runs saved this season, and that is a stat that I don't think a lot of people look at, or because a lot of times it's all offense. But when you're an outfielder and you have, that number, 9 defensive runs saved, that's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back behind the plate. Catchers. Another guy in the playoffs. In fact, all 3 of these guys made it to the postseason. Jonah Heim from the Rangers, Alejandro Kirk from the Blue Jays, and Adley Rutschman from the Orioles. It's kind of weird. Just an aside here. The Orioles have not lost a regular season series or been swept in a regular season series since Adley Rutschman joined the team. They had to wait till they got into the playoffs to be swept.
Yeah. They saved it for the biggest stage.
That's right. So any of these guys will be a first-time winner of a Gold Glove, whoever wins it. And then you were talking about defensive run saves. Alejandro Kirk led all AL catchers in DRS with 17. Pitchers. This is one that I think is an important one as far as like picking up on how good pitchers play defense. There's a lot of pitchers out there. They fall off the mound in weird ways, so they don't square up so that they can make a play on a ball wherever it is. There's just, not all of them are in a good spot for that. So these guys have definitely shown that they can do that. Jose Berrios from Toronto, Sonny Gray, and his teammate Pablo Lopez, former Miami Marlin. Those guys, both of them from the Twins, are all on here as finalists. All have been all-stars, and none of them have ever won a Gold Glove. Berrios was a finalist for a Gold Glove last year, but that went to Bieber instead. And then finally, for the American League, a chance for one guy to potentially win 2.
Ooh. And it could have been a nicer guy. I don't know if he seems nice. I just like his smile.
He does. He does seem like a nice guy. And that's Mauricio Dubon from the Asterix, the only Honduran baseball player in the major leagues. And he's got second base and utility player. And this would be his first Gold Glove should he win that. A guy we both like, Zach McKinstry from the Detroit Tigers, former Dodger. He's played all over. He played 20 games at more than 20 games at third base. He played second base. He played shortstop. He played right and left field for the Tigers.
He's like the Chris Taylor for the Tigers.
Yeah, because the Dodgers already had a Chris Taylor, so they're
like, sorry, Zach, you got to go. Yeah.
Yeah, we
already have one of you.
Couldn't do 2 of you. And then Taylor Walls from Tampa Bay, also with the utility. And any of those guys winning will be their very first Gold Glove. So that gives you the American Leaguers. Let's move to the National League. First baseman.
All right. A name that you always want in that situation. No, Freddie Freeman, Carlos Santana, and Christian Walker. So Walker won last year, so he would, this could be a back-to-back. That's what he's hoping for. He led all first basemen with plus 12 outs above average. And Santana was just at 11. But do you know that Carlos Santana has never won a Gold Glove?
I do now.
Yeah. Of course, Freeman has won before. He won in 2018. Second base, Nico Horner of the Chicago Cubs, Ha-Seong Kim of San Diego, and Bryson Stott, Philadelphia.
Once again, what getting overlooked for the second base Gold Glove?
Well, and all three of these players moved to second base. They had I think Ha-Seong Kim was playing shortstop before.
Well, last year he took over at shortstop because Fernando Tatis had
Right.
ringworm and couldn't play.
Mm-hmm.
And then so he took over there. And then during the offseason, the Dregs went and got Xander Bogaerts,
Right.
who's an all-star shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
So Ha-Seong Kim moves to second, and he's
Bryson's, yeah, and I know he's fun. I think he's fun to watch, to play. And then don't they have like that chant when he gets up? They're like Ha-Seong, or in San Diego, they got a thing going just for him. So,
well, and he deserves it. He's been he's probably the team's MVP down there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then Dansby Swanson signed with the Cubs, and so Nico Horner had to move over, and the same thing with the Phillies. Bryson Stott moved over because of Trey Turner.
Right, that's right.
So that'll be an interesting one to see three guys that all shifted positions but are now in the running for a Gold Glove.
So it looks like good moves on their part.
Yeah,
and by
definitely.
the team as well. What made a good point there, or a good, when they moved them over there, they did the right thing.
Yeah. Third base, Brian Hayes of Pittsburgh, Ryan McMahon of Colorado, and Austin Riley of Atlanta. And did you notice there's a name missing from that list for the first time in 10 years?
10 years. Almost Dodger third baseman Nolan Arenado?
Yes, Nolan Arenado. He won the award in each of the past 10 years, but he is not among the finalists in 2023. Did not have a great season. Cardinals did not have a great season. Hayes is plus 17 outs above average, 21 defensive run saves. And then McMahon, and this is a guy, Ryan in Colorado with the Rockies. I think a lot of times you don't look at teams like the Rockies because they are usually in the bottom of their division and they're not playing well. But it's nice to see these guys are being recognized for their defensive play. And then, of course, Riley, he has 9 defensive runs saved, but no outs above average.
So he's just...
Yeah, he's just
there.
Just there.
He's at average.
Yeah. And they're all in the running. All three of these guys, it would be their first career Gold Glove. All right, let's move to shortstop. And we have Francisco Lindor of the New York Mets, Dansby Swanson of the Cubs, and Ezequiel Tovar of the Rockies. Of course, Lindor has 2 Gold Gloves in his career, but he hasn't won one since 2019 when he was with Cleveland. Dansby Swanson won Gold Glove last year. And Tovar, of course, this would be his first win.
So let's go back to second base for a second,
Yeah.
just to illustrate a point here. All the second basemen moved from shortstop to second base to make way for a shortstop. Of those three, only one shortstop is on this list that displaced, and that's Dansby Swanson. He pushed Nico Horner out of shortstop role, but Trey Turner didn't. Xander Bogaerts didn't end up here. Only Dansby Swanson is a Gold Glove finalist of those three, from those three that had to move.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, it's cool that they all made it. Maybe second base, maybe they wouldn't have been, the second baseman wouldn't have been there if they were shortstops, but I don't know.
Yeah, and Ezekiel Tovar of the Rockies, he's a rookie. And he finished with a plus 16 outs above average. Lindor was plus 6. And, of course, Dansby Swanson plus 20. He led all major leaguers, not just his National League, but all of them.
And that probably helped the Cubs until they kind of fell apart late in the season. They were making a push, and who knows, maybe next year they'll be able to put it all together. One thing that's interesting too out of all of this is recently I was listening to something, I think it was like on MLB radio, and they were talking about the rules, all the rules changes for this season, and how they, there was a lot of talk. Will those rules apply to the postseason? And I think we talked about it briefly about what we thought about it. They're talking, one of the things that they were curious about was how the shift, what was the overall play in the shift? And of course, with the shift, it's odd because just as an aside here, till I get to the long way to by bloviate my way to the point here, is that left-handed batting averages went up, which was expected. That's what they kind of wanted, because now you weren't putting a plug in to that spot between first and second for them to pull. But right-handers, their batting averages went down about the same overall as the left-handers went up. But a lot of players were like, well, what am I going to do? This changes everything. Francisco Lindor says, oh, good. Now I can finally get back to playing shortstop. Because it really did. By moving people over, he was never right in that shortstop. The reason everybody wanted to play shortstop is because at no other position do you get the volume of potential spectacular plays, diving to get a ball,
right,
or deep in the hole. I mean, at third base, you can get a line drive shot that you can play, catch it down the line or whatever. There's options, but nothing like what shortstop gets. And he wanted to get back to that. So he was happy with it. And, even though the analytics departments were not, the players were. And isn't that part of the excitement of baseball, is some of those plays?
Oh, yeah. You want to have those that make the reel.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, left field. Ian Happ of the Chicago Cubs. David Peralta of the Dodgers, and Eddie Rosario of Atlanta. So Happ didn't have a permanent position, but he did this year. He found, actually it was last year, found it in left field, and he ended up winning his first Gold Glove last season. He is tied for third among outfielders with 12 assists. He posted 2 defensive runs saved, and he could maybe be a back-to-back winner. David Peralta, 7 defensive runs saved, is also, this would be his second, if he wins, his second career Gold Glove. And Rosario, who had 3 defensive run saves, would be a first-time winner. And that they're pretty, I mean, Happ had 12 assists and 2 defensive runs saved. But it looks, as far as defensive runs saved, the Peralta, is the top there. But we'd have to go back to assist and all the other metrics, not matrix. Going in the matrix, the metrics that they.
Keanu Reeves
Yes.
is up for all of the gloves. He played all the positions.
He gets all of
in the
them.
Matrix.
In the Matrix. Center field, Britton Doyle of Colorado, Michael Harris II, not a surprise there, of Atlanta, and Alec Thomas of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Doyle came into the season, quickly became one of the really good defenders. If you haven't watched a lot of Rockies games, which I haven't because I can't, but in the highlights,
I thought you were supposed to be, because you live in their region. You should be able to get local TV feeds of the Rockies and the Diamondbacks, apparently.
Yeah, no, lies. It's all lies.
Honestly, the
Rob
way it's
Manfred
looking
sits on a throne of lies.
All right, Skippy.
All right. So Britton Doyle led all players in fielding run value metric, which is plus 21. And then Michael Harris II, he was rookie of the year last year. And then Alec Thomas, all of them would be first-time Gold Glove Award winners if they win. And then we head over to right field. We have Mookie Betts, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Lane Thomas of the Nationals. Of course, we know Fernando Tatis moved from shortstop to right field. Maybe this was where he really was supposed to play. He was supposed to play in the outfield and not shortstop. He was tied for first among right fielders in fielding run value of plus 12. He ranked second among all outfielders in defensive runs saved, 27, and he tied for third with 12 assists. Only Nolan Jones of Colorado and Lane Thomas of the Nationals had more outfield assists. Tatis and Lane Thomas, of course, if they won, it would be their first one. And if Betts wins, it would be Mookie's 7th. We head to behind the plate with the catcher. You got Patrick Bailey of San Francisco, Gabriel Moreno of Arizona, and JT Realmuto of Philadelphia.
How many does JT have?
If he were to win, he has one. And he
only
won last. Yeah, only one.
Wow.
And oh no, I'm sorry. He has 2. But this would be it would be back to back for him. So it's his second straight Gold Glove and his 3rd overall. Sorry.
If he wins it, yeah.
If he wins it. Patrick Bailey is a rookie. He led all catchers and ranked 2nd overall with a fielding run value of plus 18, plus a plus 18 from pitch framing. And then Moreno excelled. He controlled the running game. And this was his first full season catching. Also, he had an Major League best plus 9 caught stealings above average.
Oh, wow.
And then for pitcher, Jesus Luzardo of Miami, Taijuan Walker of Philadelphia, and Zach Wheeler of Philadelphia. So 2 Phillies and a Marlin. And of course, Zach Greinke has won 6 straight Gold Gloves from 2014 to 2019. And then it was Max Fried who won it for the past 3 years. But because Max Fried had injuries, he had recently, he had a blister. It looks like we will have a new Gold Glove on the mound between those 3. And then this one's an interesting one because we see 2 familiar names in the utility spot. Mookie Betts, Tommy Edman of St. Louis, and Ha-Seong Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Mookie Betts played 70 games at second base, 16 at shortstop, in addition to his 107 games that he played in right field. He finished with 10 defensive runs saved. Edman, the 2021 National League Gold Glove Award winner at second base, also was versatile this year, and he produced plus 10 outs above average. And then, as we mentioned, Hassan Kim is a finalist for second base, but he also played 32 games at third, 20 at short, and 106 at second. And he finished with a plus 10 outs above average. So that'll be a fun one to watch.
Once again, November 5th is when we will find that out. So the following week, we will share who the winners were, along with, at that point, it's going to depend on how things go with the World Series. If it goes all the way out, we'll probably just be talking about the end of the World Series. Then all the other awards that, honestly, I'm beginning to feel like don't mean anything if you don't get into the postseason and do something with it. I mean, it's all nice and fun, but, you know, in the end, it's about winning championships. But we'll talk about all those awards when towards the middle of November, like, you know, the MVP and all of that stuff. Before we're heading towards talking about the League Championship Series, before we get there, big news out of Miami. Kim Ng, who has been building a team down there, the first woman general manager in Major League Baseball or any men's professional sports, has resigned. She's bailed out of there simply because they wanted to put somebody over her. Or that's part of the story. It just, you know, here she goes and builds a team that makes it to the playoffs, could continue to build on. Honestly, from what I hear is she really wanted to get Justin Turner instead of Gene Segura.
Yeah, she was all in on JT. Yeah, I think there's, like you said, there's a couple of reasons. The owner Bruce Sherman wanted to install a president of baseball operations, which would be over Kim Ng. And also he wanted to pick up the team's half of a mutual option rather than offer her an extension, which I think she deserves an extension. This is the first time that Miami they made the postseason in a full season since 2003.
Right. Yeah, it's been a while. She built a pretty good team there and made some of the right moves. You're not going to always make all the right moves. Andrew Friedman can attest to that. In fact, a lot of GMs who have been successful overall can attest to that. So the question is, where could she end up? Could she end up in Boston?
Maybe.
Keim Bloom no longer there. Who else? I think it's time for Artie to fire Perry, let him out of that last season and bring in Kim Ng. But Kim Ng would then still have to answer to a president of baseball operations and John Carpino. So I don't know. At some point you get, you know, depending on where you want to go, I think she might be. Honestly, maybe I don't want her here until Artie's gone, because you want somebody that is going to be able to do their job, and he's not going to let her do her job, or anybody else for that matter. So that would be the deal. Whatever happens, you know, we hope she's done a good job and she knows her baseball. So we'll see that. The other thing that was interesting when we talk about women in baseball, what's her name? Alyssa Nakken.
Yeah.
Who's been a coach with the Giants, interviewed for their manager's job. And I don't know, I'm not seeing a lot of positive response to that.
Yeah, me either. I mean, we know there are some female managers, I think at least two that I know of in the minor leagues, but they're
the Yankees had the first one,
right?
At one of their teams in Florida, like low A team or whatever, and I don't remember the other one. And then Alyssa Nakken was the first woman to be a coach at the major league level. She was even first base coach at some point during the season, filling in. So who's going to take over for Kapler? Is it going to be that kid they got out of the stands?
Right.
It's
His
supposedly
mini me.
their bench coach that his hat's too big. I can't even remember his name. Correa or something.
Yeah,
Kai
Correa.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does look like he's a computer nerd,
Yeah.
that he's an analytics guy, I guess. I don't know. I mean, he did play baseball, so but I'm sure he's probably interviewing. I wouldn't be surprised though if she's close that they wouldn't potentially give it to her just for the optics of it. And then she can be the one along with Farhan Zaidi to deal with the players that end up on the wheel. Oh, yeah. We haven't had the wheel vial in a couple of weeks.
We haven't, but there are some that we need to mention with Brandon Woodruff, who had shoulder surgery, and it looks like he could miss most of next season. So that could be a blow for the Brewers, but he hasn't really been pitching, so I don't know how much it will be, will hurt them, but we'll see. And Byron Buxton, he underwent orthoscopic knee surgery, and of the Twins, saw him in the dugout, but he didn't play. And Alex Kurloff will be undergoing labrum surgery. So they are all on the wheel, along with Sandy Alcantara, who had Tommy John surgery.
Right. No complete games for him next season.
No, and I'm waiting to see what's going on with Clayton Kershaw. He did say after the division series that he would probably, go get the shoulder checked out, maybe get a second opinion, but we really don't know what the first opinion was. If he has to have surgery, then it would look like he probably would be out probably most of the season. And I could see if that happened, that maybe he would just retire, but maybe not. So, but we haven't heard anything. Maybe his shoulder's okay. I did see that he was somebody was at the Texas State Fair and got a picture with him. He must have been out and about. So that's where he was. And who knows? Maybe he's hanging out at the grill too. Incognito.
Never know. Just lives like about 5 miles away. I remember something like that. Was the deal.
So those were ones that I definitely wanted to mention because they're like I said, those are guys that could, we know, like with Alcantara, we'll miss the 2024 season. Woodruff, Buxton, and Kurloff, they should hopefully for their teams will be ready by spring training, but we'll see.
League Championship Series has started up, and here's one thing to know about the League Championship Series is that with the National League, whoever wins this will still be going to the American League Champions ballpark because neither of the teams, neither the Phillies nor the Diamondbacks, have a better record than either Houston or the Rangers. So, but let's go game one, Phillies and Diamondbacks. Zach Gallen on the hill. Can he repeat what he did versus the Dodgers? And he's pitching against another Zach. One with a K, one without. Zach Wheeler, who has been fantastic during the postseason as well. Going up against a strong Diamondbacks team. Could they do anything? Well, number one, you're going to Philly. And and this was something that was brought up, unlike a lot of stadiums, where the game starts at, 5 o'clock or even 7 o'clock, whatever. People are just getting there. There's still open seats. In Philadelphia, they've already been there for an hour and a half.
Yes, they are. They are waiting, chomping
And
at the bit.
it's full and ready to go. We'll talk a little bit about something that once again, bulletin board material coming from an opposite, an opponent player. And we'll talk about that for game 2. But in this one, Zach Gallen got a warm Philly welcome when he gave up a home run to Kyle Schwarber to start off the game.
First pitch.
And it was kind of like when the Dodgers and the D-backs were playing, where the Dodgers hadn't even got all 9 of their players up.
Right. Yeah.
And Tommy Pham had already been up 3 times with 3 singles. Everybody on the Phillies had been on base at least once before the bottom part of the Diamondbacks order even got on base. Guy even came to bat. So while at the end of the game, the D-backs did make it a little more interesting, they couldn't put it all together, and the Phillies would win this one 5-3. Another former Dodger who's been playing well this season, Craig Kimbrell, would get the save there. One of the pitchers for the Phillies, every time they mention him, I have to kind of laugh. And that's Dominguez, one of their relievers. You know what his first name is, right?
Trying to think what it is. I don't. It's not coming to me.
He's he's been knighted. Sir Anthony.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Sir Anthony. That's just his name. Seranthony Dominguez. Sir Anthony Dominguez. But every time they say that, I'm like, is he British? What's going on?
Right.
Did he get knighted? What did I miss something? Anyway, so they pitched, they played well against it, but they came out and just hit him hard right to start.
I think I texted you and said, is Lance Lynn on the mound?
Right.
Because it was Schwarber and then Harper, and then an inning later, it was Nick Castellanos. And Harper, it was his birthday that night, and he was 31. So he held up 3 fingers and a 1 finger and blew the candles out as he crossed the plate. Always like I said, he's from Las Vegas. He has a flair for the dramatic. And he said somebody asked him about it, and he said, sometimes I just do stuff.
Sometimes.
And and Castellanos has homered 5 times in his past. He had homered 5 times in his past 3 games. Reggie Jackson in the 1977 World Series. Those 2 players are the only 2 players with 5 home runs in a 3-game span in a single postseason. Good company to keep.
Yep. Mr. October. He may have to give up his mantle or share it the way it's looking. Another guy who's been doing well in the postseason, and another former Dodger. We talked about him a little bit earlier, Trey Turner. When you look at a list of players who have 3 or more home runs, have stolen 4 or more bases, and hit 5 or more doubles, Trey Turner is not only on that list, he is the list.
That's
Nobody
it.
else. That's the thing. All these things have been coming up this season where nobody else has ever done it before. Castellanos, multi-homer games, back to back. And I think that Bryce Harper. A lot of people, when Bryce Harper and Mike Trout kind of came up about the same time. In fact, we talked not long ago about Rob Manfred kind of dissing Mike Trout not being as marketable. Bryce Harper was that guy, but I've seen that since Bryce Harper left Washington, he's kind of become more part of the Phillies unless part of Bryce Harper. Sure, flair for the dramatic at times, but he does it all within the. He's a guy. I think I'd rather have Bryce Harper in this situation
Yeah.
than I would Mike Trout. And it's not to
Yeah.
take away from Mike Trout. It's that Bryce Harper's been in these situations and he's done something with it. It's not Mike Trout's fault completely that he's not ever made it to a World Series or even that deep into the playoffs. But Bryce Harper, look at this. I see Bryce Harper have Tommy John surgery and come back and learn how to play a whole different position just so that he can be there and play. I haven't seen that from Mike Trout. I don't know how but I see a desire in one that I don't really see in the other one anymore. And I wonder if it's where he plays.
It could be. Yeah.
And we'll talk about that more later, but I wanted to get it in. Bryce Harper has become really the player. He didn't take the path that I think we all thought, but he's definitely become that perennial MVP candidate kind of player. And to me, an MVP or a team leader is somebody that does that. Where do you need me to go play? I'll learn how to play first base so that I can play right away and contribute if that's where you need me. If it makes the team better, that's where I'll go. And that's what's worked out. Same thing. Brandon Marsh, Captain Caveman, center fielder, great center fielder, moved to left, has become even a better left fielder for a rookie.
Yeah.
In Rojas, who's been fantastic out there in the outfield, made a great play in game 2, getting back and making a catch. So they just, the Phillies seem, more than any other team, seem like more of a team of not even just destiny, a team that was built for the postseason.
Oh yeah, I really think that they, and I mentioned this last week. I'm sure that Philadelphia, but maybe not after now where they are, to win the division, to say, yeah, we won. We were the top of the East, and we won it. But would they be the same team if they win the division and they're not that wild card? Because I really feel like that's what like juices them up. That's what gets them going. Like we didn't make, we didn't beat the Braves. They won the division, but we're here and they are built for the postseason. So I was talking to somebody.
They're underdogs.
Yeah. And I was talking to somebody today who is from Philadelphia. And I was like, hey, what about those Phillies? And he's like, yeah. He's talking about, the game. And I said, yeah, I'm rooting for the Phillies. I said, because during the regular season, I root for the Dodgers. But in the postseason, I root for the Phillies because the Dodgers never make it. And out of where they, any further.
Yeah, they don't even get a chance to meet up with the Phillies.
No.
So
which at this point we don't want them to.
So we go to game 2, and yeah, exactly. And you know what we talked about last week about reseeding? If they had done the reseeding, the Dodgers would have played the Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
And the Braves would have had the Diamondbacks. Who's to say? The Dodgers probably would have been the same, but who's to say what would have happened in Atlanta, with the D-backs?
Right.
We don't, obviously we don't know how that would have played, but anyway, we go to game 2 at Citizens Bank Ballpark. Of course, this is the last game before they head to Arizona in this series. Phillies sending Aaron Nola to the mound, who Aaron Nola, not only is he trying to win a World Series, he's also putting himself out there on display because he is a free agent next year. And his name, like every other free agent pitcher of any note, Blake Snell, are on the Dodgers radar.
Of course, as they should be.
And hopefully they actually do something with this. But those guys come out. Aaron Nola, once again, pitching well in the offseason. Merrill Kelly, we talked about what a great outing he had against the Dodgers. Starts off good, but let's go to our bulletin board fodder. When asked about the noise Merrill Kelly said, I don't know. I've never, but I can't imagine it would be louder than it was in the game against during the World Baseball Classic, the game against Venezuela. And two things when you think about it. Number one, they were in Florida and they were in a dome stadium. So in Miami there. So the loud's going to be different than in an outside stadium. Number two, they said that it was almost half and half, the crowd for the U.S. versus the crowd for rooting for Venezuela. So it got loud, but you're in Philly and anywhere you go, your whole team, everybody there with, a handful of people maybe that are voting for rooting for your team.
Right.
Everybody's going to be Phillies fans.
Right. And as we've mentioned, they don't sit down and they are active participants. They put themselves into the game. They make themselves part of the game. And it's not just the offense, it's on defense too. They are loud. In fact, I think it was last year, and probably we'll find out this year too, but University of Pennsylvania has a Richter scale, and the Richter scale was going off during some of those postseason games last year. I can imagine they were the past, the last two games. So it's loud. And I have been to the pit at the University of New Mexico to watch Lobo basketball, and they get up to, 80, 90 decibels, 100 in that pit, because it's in the ground. And the Phillies fans were at 110 in this second game.
Wow. So Merrill Kelly got, from the time that he was out warming up, he got an earful. He seemed to hold his composure overall. He did go 5 2/3, gave up 3 hits, 4 runs. Once again, the home run, they've been watching the Lance Lynn tape of how to pitch.
Yep.
Trey starts off his first at bat with a home run. Kyle Schwarber, who's going to have a ton of leadoff home runs in this. It seems like he's going to have a lot of home runs.
Yeah, JT Realmuto said his favorite part of one of his favorite things about the game is first pitch to Schwarber.
And Schwarber actually has 2 in the game, in game 2. Overall, I mean, they were busy. The home runs there. Trey Turner with a home run, but it was they only scored 2 runs through 3 innings, and then nobody scored anything. The D-backs, we get to the bottom of the 6th. It's still just 2-0. It's not out of control yet.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the operative word.
Things went off the rail for the D-backs. Kyle Schwarber hit a home run, and then it was Trey Turner with a walk. Bryson Stott with a single. Stott steals second base. Turner's at third at that point. Here's a double. Turner and Scott score. Brandon Marsh doubles to left, scoring Realmuto and Castellanos. Castellanos was intentionally walked. Good move, I think.
Yeah.
And then again, the very next inning, more home run. More runs scored. Single to Bryce Harper. He ends up coming around to score. Schwarber had walked. He comes around to score. Bohm scores on a JT Realmuto single. It just, Stott had gotten on base. He ends up scoring on a sacrifice fly. And in the end, something that had not happened in 46 Diamondback playoff games.
Shut out.
Yep. And that would be it for them. Of course, they're not out of it yet. They still have to lose 2 more before they're out.
Yeah.
And they get to go back home. We don't know if the Chase Field has not ever seemed like a solid home field advantage like Philly is, like Atlanta is, even Dodger Stadium can be
Yeah.
that way. These are places where the fans are crazy about their team, and you got to do stuff like the Diamondbacks need to get out and beat up on the Phillies like 10-0, get the fans going. They need to do that in Philly though, to shut them up. But they need to come out and play well. I'm just saying, if you want to quiet the crowd down, you have to give them a reason to lose hope.
Yeah. And in Arizona, when the Dodgers were playing, there's always a lot of Dodger fans at the games. And it just didn't seem like there were as many at the game in Arizona when the Dodgers played. Not the same raucous crowd that normally is there. Because they were overshadowed, they were down 2-0. But I would be interesting to see the makeup of the crowd in Arizona, just because a lot of people moved to Arizona to the warmer climes of the surface of the sun, because it's warm there all the
Well, it's
time.
warm here.
I know, but
I can tell you why people leave California and go to Arizona. Economics.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot cheaper to live there than it is
but
here.
Philadelphia, I'm just thinking, there's people that move.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Right. That's like coming here. There's so
Yeah.
many people that move west from colder places. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so it would be. I'm interested to see, who, because you see that at Dodger Stadium too. There's a lot of people who move to California from other places. You always see, people.
There is
rooting.
a fan from every single sports team.
Yeah.
And I mean this not just baseball, football, basketball, college, any of them.
Yeah.
You go to a game here, there's people who live here, not people just happening to visit because their favorite team's here. They live here. And they'll go see that team play when they come to town. I'm a Titans fan. The Titans have come the last 2 years to play the Rams and the Chargers. Who did I go see play? The Titans.
The Titans, yeah.
So anyway, so at this point, Philly's up 2-0. They don't seem like they can be stopped. We'll see if a day off does that. Question will be, if they do sweep, what happens in the other series? Do they sweep? Is it a sweep by one of them? Or if not, will the gap? Because when did we say the
World Series starts October 27th.
And today's the 19th.
Yep.
So potentially, you figure that's the travel date today. If Philly were to sweep, they would be done on Friday, which is what? 20th?
20th.
So the 20th, and they've got to wait 7 days before they play another game, or 6 full days off, and then or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to end up having a long time. So who's to say if both of these sweep, we can have a long layoff. And see, that's the thing with all the long layoffs and so many days without baseball that we've had in between. I kind of started to forget we still have baseball season because I don't have a full rooting interest in any particular other than the games. But it's like,
well,
that's right. There's still baseball going on.
You would think that Major League Baseball would be smarter and say, okay, it's kind of that board, or the chart. If this happens, if the team sweeps and this team, I mean, you have to, but you got to play it out.
If it's both
and
of
then
them, yeah.
you could, then you move it up, because in this case, if there is a sweep, and depending on the other, because they're both Phillies up, Rangers are up, both 2-0. Then you're sitting there. Of course, baseball fans are going to watch the World Series, but what about the other people? You know, they're gonna, oh, the World Series. I thought baseball was over
Right.
because you're not going to hear anything. I mean, you're
It's going to be
unless
too
you're
long of a
following.
gap. Right.
Yeah, it's too long of a gap. So definitely the scheduling for the postseason this year was not.
There
I
needs
don't
to
like
be a
it.
contingency
Yeah,
as to, I get why they schedule it out so far, because what if one series does go?
sure.
But in this case, there needs to be, oh, this series is now over potentially on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to wait for a week. It's not like the Super Bowl where you're 2 weeks off
Right.
before the Super Bowl or a week between games. You need to be able to move that up and say, just like you said, a flow chart. If A, go this way. If B, go this way. If both teams are ready, are done, they've won their series, then and the matchup set, then go start them on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going so that way you're not making any extra money during that week that they're off.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
potentially it could lead to a really bad series because both teams could come out of it rusty.
Right. And the teams have been playing, these two teams in particular, if this is the way it ends up, they were wild cards.
Right.
And so they've been playing and they haven't had anything. So we'll see. I mean, we don't know obviously who will be going, but yeah, there's just lots of different little things there that I think Major League Baseball just needs to tighten things up, and they really do. Rob Manfred came out and said, he didn't really see anything wrong with the format, and I don't know if he meant the way, with the wild card and all that, but he did say, well, we always, after it's over, we always go back and look and say, okay, this worked and this didn't work. What didn't work is this format where it was one game, no game, one game, and then you have, it just, yeah, that was in the, especially in the division series.
Speaking of the other teams, let's take a look at what's going on with Houston and the Rangers.
Attaboy, Harper. Attaboy, Harper.
So the American League Championship Series comes down to two teams that battled it out during the regular season. Ended up with identical records, 90 and 72. Question is, who's going to walk away with the American League title? Will it be the Rangers or will it be the Asterix? Well, one thing that we've learned about the Asterix, they haven't been great at home over this last season.
Yeah, not so good. There's a leak at the juice box.
There's a leak?
There's a leak. Or you know what? The juice box, the Capri Suns, and you got to stab the straw into them.
Right.
It doesn't, there's nothing there.
It doesn't go in, or they're hitting it, but it's going through without getting down into the juice. It's going skewering the, oh, okay.
That's what's happening.
So the question is, can the Rangers continue on? They've played 5 games and are 5-0, sweeping both the wild card series and the division series, eliminating the Orioles to my chagrin. Can they do the same thing to Houston and walk away with this and sweep them? Or will Houston be? I mean, Houston's got a great team. I would say that they're a pretty good. I think odds-wise, they're like at the top of the odds makers list for to win the World Series this year.
Right.
So let's take a look at Game 1. They're at Minute Maid Park. Jordan Montgomery starting for the Rangers. Justin Verlander for the Asterix. Not a lot of offense happening in this game. Only 2 runs scored, and they were not scored by the Asterix.
No, it was the Rangers, which is interesting because the Rangers, when they played in Houston, have gone 8-32 since 2019. 8-32 with a minus 65 run differential when playing the Astros at Minute Maid Park. And this year, the 2 clubs split the series in Houston. So,
Yeah, which kind of talks about how Houston just didn't play well at home.
But Jordan Montgomery's on the mound for the Rangers, and he had better stuff than Justin Verlander.
They both threw about the same amount of innings. Actually, Justin threw a third of an inning more, but while he gave up 6 hits and 2 runs, struck out 5, gave up 1 home run. Jordan Montgomery only went 6 1/3, but he only gave up 5 hits, struck out 6, gave up no home runs. Because like we said,
and no extra base hits.
Nothing.
Nope.
He didn't no hit him. He gave up, 5 hits, but that was it. And then three relievers. Nobody got another hit. Only one Spores walked one guy, but Chapman and Leclerc didn't walk anybody. And the Asterix go down in game 1, even with their ace on the hill and Verlander. They just couldn't get anything going. Smattering of hits between Bregman and Abreu, Mauricio Dubon. It was a home run from Leota Tavares that was like the big thing. The other run was scored by Jonah Heim. So, kind of what you expect, a pitcher's duel between 2 of the top pitchers for these teams. Jordan Montgomery threw 90 pitches to 101 by Justin Verlander. It wasn't bad, as far as that goes. They just, for whatever reason, this Asterix just couldn't put any runs on the board, and they lose that first one. So game 2, next day, still at the jukebox. I can't ever get that right. The juice box at Minute Maid Park in Houston at the Astrodome.
That's right.
That'll fix it right there. In this game, things started off a little bit differently. And once again, you would think that the Asterix have the upper hand because they're throwing Framber Valdez.
Right. And anytime he is on the mound, they always seem to do well. But maybe lost a little luster.
Maybe it's the playoff thing. Although he pitched well last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Nathan Eovaldi, who's coming off of being on the IL and issues like that during the end of the season there, he gets the start. And what really happened here is that the Rangers didn't fool around. They came out, led off with 2 singles, one by Marcus Semien and one by Corey Seager, and then Robbie Grossman. He just got on an error, pitcher throwing error, and everybody moves up, and then Adolis Garcia with just a lousy single.
That's all you got to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Semien had scored from the error before that, and then Adolis Garcia drives in Seager. Robbie Grossman goes to third, and you see where we're going here. Next thing you know, it's 4-0 Rangers, and that's where it's going to stay for a couple of innings. Okay, 1 inning. In the bottom of the second, actually, Yordan Alvarez takes Eovaldi deep. And then that's pretty much where it stays. Top of the third, the Rangers get that run back, make it 5-4, and then 2 more runs would be scored, three more runs. The Rangers were done scoring, but 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 6th, and 1 in the 8th would get the Asterisks within 1 run, but that was as close as they would get. And the Rangers take both on the road.
Yeah, both on the road. And this was a bet out of, with the postseason games. This was a good game. Trying to, the Astros were chipping away, trying to anyway, but just came up short.
Yeah, they just these two teams know each other, and they're trying to, the Rangers have looked kind of like a team of destiny. By the way, I don't think anybody thought they were going to get to this point because they kind of collapsed in the last week.
Right.
And on the last day of the season, they still could have been. This could have started out in Arlington instead of in Houston, had they played to win on that last series up in Seattle, but they didn't. But they're still here in the championship series, so does it matter?
No.
I guess not, because the teams that you thought were going to be here, other than Houston,
are gone. Yep.
Yeah. What did you tell me the other day? Did you text me?
Oh, I said the teams that had a bye seemed to say bye-bye to the postseason.
Yep, that's exactly it. The bye led to bye-bye for those teams. Anyway, so they bail out of Houston. They didn't need a travel day, but they got one anyway.
I know. I thought that was funny because it really, you get a full travel day. Why can't you just go and then you play that night?
Right. Exactly. Have one of those like home and home double header kind of things.
Yeah.
Same day. Why not?
Right. Yeah. Come on.
I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so in the day off, where we find out, or maybe even before, but I remember specifically thinking about it in the day off, that Max Scherzer, who was added, he and John Gray both added to the, they've both been on the IL. Scherzer for over a month thought he was done for the season completely, added to the playoff roster.
Ooh. Will it bode well for the Rangers?
The minute I heard that, I thought no.
I always think no,
right.
Because
I was like, there's no way. It's not going to work out for him. I thought you wanted to win this series.
Yeah, what do you get putting in a guy with a
Number
dead
one, he
arm?
hasn't pitched in a month.
Right.
And he's known to have the dead arm issue. He'd already said, I'm done. What made him decide he wanted, they made it farther along.
That might have been what it was. Maybe he was just kind of waiting it out and like, all right, if they make it to the, but.
I think if the Dodgers had made it to the World Series, because he pitched great versus the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
He was
super intense.
If the Dodgers had made it to the World Series, he probably would have come back to pitch again.
Yeah.
But I have, one word for Max Scherzer. Retirement.
Yes, he definitely needs to
head
back to Florida, where I think one of his houses
disappear.
Just disappear.
So anyway, the Asterisks and the Rangers fire things up at the grill. And who knows? Can the Rangers take a commanding 3-0 lead? And will Max Scherzer all of a sudden become a hero in Arlington? or will the Astros get on the board? Well, one thing that is in the Astros' favor, they like playing on the road.
And they like playing at the Grill because last month they swept the Rangers at home.
Astros coach Joe Espada, who is also a name that's being mentioned for some managerial openings and has over the past couple of seasons, but again this year with some of the openings, his name is connected. He said that the team just likes hitting first. They like to set the tone for the game. They come out, attack, score some runs. We don't need to be up last. We win the game at the beginning. That's what he said. That's what they like. And so they've just that's just became their thing. And I would say that two things happened here in game 3. Number one, our feelings about Max Scherzer were true. And the Astros did exactly what they did. They liked it when they get up first.
Yeah. And even before this game, Max Scherzer said he wasn't sure what to expect. That does not bring confidence to your team if he's not sure what he's going to do on the mound.
So he does make it through the first inning, no runs scored. But in the second inning, that's when things started, got a little dicey for him. And that's when a wild pitch was, one of the things that happens to him that allows Yordan Alvarez to score. And it just led to 3 total runs. Martin Maldonado, who a lot of people have been talking about, that Yandy Diaz hits better than him. And they're like, nope, Maldonado's our guy. We trust him back there. He's the guy, and he proved them right.
Yeah, he was like 2 for 4, I think.
Yeah, so he had a good night.
Jose Altuve in the top of the third, which they like to hit a home run.
That he did. That would be the only long ball of the night for the Asterix. The Rangers would actually have 2 home runs from the same guy. Rookie all-star Josh Young. Is it Young or Jung?
I've always heard him say Young. Oh.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But I think it'd be more fun to call him Josh Jung. Anyway, he had a multi-homer game, 2 of them driving in 4 runs, but it just wasn't enough. They couldn't sustain it, and every time that they'd score a run or 2, the Astros would come back and score 1 or 2 of their own.
Yep.
They actually at one point had a situation with the bases loaded and Yordan Alvarez coming to the plate, and they actually avoided major disaster, still gave up 2 runs, but not 4, which is kind of what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, that's what you usually think will happen.
Right. Christian Javier pitched pretty well, went 5 2/3, only gave up 3 hits and 2 runs, only struck out 3, but overall, pretty decent outing for him. And they were able to get out of it without a loss. That, like I said, the Rangers did try to come back a couple times, but they just couldn't sustain anything to get themselves a rally going or something.
Right, and it didn't help that you had Max Scherzer on the mound, who went 4 innings, gave up 5 hits, 5 runs, had 4 strikeouts, gave up a home run. And it didn't help that John Gray, who came in relief, pitched an inning, gave up 2 hits and 1 run. So they are probably rethinking that roster decision.
Chris Stratton is the only other pitcher of the Rangers that gave up. He gave up 2 runs on 2 hits and a walk. I think he thinks he's with the Dodgers. He has an 18 ERA.
John Gray also had a pitcher violation.
Right. He did.
So-
And there's not been a lot of violations through the playoffs that I've
No,
noticed.
I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen any that I know of. So the Astros take their first game of this series. Rangers are still ahead 2-1.
And tonight will be game 4 of that series. And then, of course, the D-backs and the Phillies will be in Phoenix for game 3 and 4 of 3, 4, and 5, actually, if it goes to 5.
Mm-hmm.
This series, the Rangers and Astros will go to 5, so they'll have 3 there in Arlington, and provided the Rangers if they win out, then they won't go back to Houston. Otherwise, back to Houston for 6 and 7 as needed.
And the early game today is the Phillies and the Diamondbacks, and you want to say the late game is the Rangers and the Astros.
All right, like you said, Philly at the D-backs is an afternoon game today. So just starting, we drop at 1:10 every Thursday. So just a couple hours from when we drop this episode. So listen to that, and then you'll be ready to watch game 3 of the Phillies D-backs.
Be
And
totally
then-
prepared.
And then you can watch Corbin Carroll and his 10-gallon hat situation. I don't know what it is, where he's wearing that hat, but his hat looks like it's way above his head. Even his batting helmet seems like it sets way high on his head.
Yeah. It's not like he has some kind of like what do they call him? A pompadour.
No, and even then, push it down.
But yeah.
You know what? And because I brought him up, it was something that I wanted to bring up. Did you see his steal against the Dodgers?
I'm sure I
He
did.
stole the
I
base.
just put it out of
And
my memory.
off of Caleb Ferguson. They didn't even throw down.
Oh,
And it was
yeah.
before Caleb wasn't even in the windup. He
Mhm.
could have disengaged and thrown over there or thrown that, and they would have hung him out to dry. Nobody's paying attention.
No.
Freddie was still hanging there at first base. He hopped out and then was kind of like, oh my goodness, nobody's doing anything, and took off. And he was there before Will Smith even got the ball almost.
Yeah. The Dodgers have never been great with runners on base. Very, very few times do they get anybody out. Because usually they're just not paying attention. And I guess that's kind of a perfect, just encapsulates the series.
Yeah, no,
Nobody's
that
paying
right there.
attention.
When I saw that, I went, well, that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
One last thing regarding the Asterisks. We've been talking about being road warriors. 15th time in their past 18 road games. And I think you said this too, 7-1 at the Grill this season.
I think there's a lot of teams that like playing there. The Dodgers obviously had a good run in 2020, but even when they've come in to play the Rangers, when it's their turn. Well, this year, obviously you play everybody, but I think teams there's something about that park. It's just friendly. Can't call it the friendly confines because that's Wrigley, but I don't know. There's just something about it.
Well, Corey liked it so much after winning a World Series there. He just went to play there all the time.
Yeah, he's like, I got to stay here.
This is good for me.
What can I do?
So there we go. Now we got 3 games under our ALCS belts. 2 with number 3 and number 4 for each of the series today. So we're still up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen, but that'll give us lots more to talk about. And that'll do it for this edition of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Next week, we will talk about how the championship series end up. And as I recall, we're going to have, that'll be what we're talking about, and a little preview for the World Series, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the World Series won't happen until after our next episode.
Yeah, it's like 2 years from now. Oh, no.
Right. Yes. Yes. The baseball, Major League Baseball has taken on the, they're scheduling out playoff games like the NBA does, 1 on, 6 off, 1 on, and then the Super Bowl or the World Series will be 2 weeks between games.
That's right.
We are going to be playing until next spring training, the way it seems to be going.
I know. It just drag it out.
All right. Well, regardless, we will be here to talk about it. Next week, we'll talk about, like I said, the championship series, let you know what's going on there, talk about who's going to the World Series and what we expect and our picks to win it all. Remember, you can find us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. You can hit the Fanatics links off of our webpage and get gear for any of these teams that's still in it. Get gears that's not in it. Get gear for teams not even playing baseball.
Whatever kind of gear you want, get it.
They have it all. You can even get golf gear and stuff. So it's all right there on our website. Click on the Fanatics link and you know, support your team or support your favorite athlete, whatever.
And support us while you're doing it.
Exactly. The IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year.
Woohoo!
So they say. It's on their website now,
It is.
by the way.
Famous.
Woo! We didn't get any money or anything for that, did we? We didn't even get like a little certificate.
Not even a certificate or, yeah. Oh, well, that's all right.
All right. Well, all we got to do is keep doing what we love doing, which is this, talking baseball. And don't forget, because we don't, to swing away.
Attaboy, Harper. Attaboy, Harper.